Well, it appears that the Atlanta Street Predator is back in the YouTube street news, and it appears that people are a bit upset that he hasn't really changed. The deviant doesn't change in a way that he wants everyone to believe that he has. The only changing he does is in how much of his manipulation tactics he'll be willing to share with his audience to avoid their scrutiny of him. You see, his core, what he is, a true deviant, doesn't change. Only his manipulation tactics change. And by manipulation, I also mean his ability to manipulate his viewing audience. If lying and shedding tears on cam can cause more than 50% of his core audience to believe the lies that he's feeding them, the narcissism in him is satisfied with being able to continue in his deviant behaviors, with the knowledge that more than half of his followers still believe that he's a good guy. With the other percentage of audience, it doesn't really matter to him how you feel, as long as his core audience likes, shares, and praises him. He'll continue in his deviant ways. As I've always said from the beginning, doing good works doesn't cancel out the deviancies in a person, no matter how much good they do. Doing bad things can and does negate the good things that a person has done. But doing good things cannot and does not negate the bad things a person has done. A clear and obvious sign to his character is he does bad things. Everybody knows he's done bad things. People have witnessed him doing bad things. But he only wants you to focus and talk about the good things he's done. That within itself is a deviancy. Is that not a flaw in character? Oh no, don't look at that. Look at this. Yeah, sure, I'm guilty of all of that. But don't pay any attention to that. Why not just praise me on all of this? Manipulations 5:5. That is about how tall he is, isn't it? People like to defend his actions with those were grown women who made grown women decisions, and they have to be accountable for their own actions, so stop blaming Shorty Stacks. You know who I'm referring to. But here's the thing I don't understand. When did all of you begin believing that grown folk can't be manipulated? Like, where did that come from? Just because a person makes the decision to do something doesn't mean that they can't be manipulated for making that choice. People make decisions every day to buy vehicles that literally turn out to be lemons. Does that mean that they weren't manipulated into purchasing something that they didn't really want? Trump manipulated more than half of your country to vote him back into the presidency, even with 34 felony convictions. And look how that's turning out. Were all of those millions of folks with no more insurance and deported former employees not manipulated into believing the lies of Rumpelstiltskin? When you offer someone that's literally living on the fucking street, who based on most of his content has also suffered some kind of sexual abuse/trauma in their lives, these women are now sleeping on park benches, in tents, under bridges, or even using cut open boxes as blankets. You come along and offer them the opportunity to obtain something, money, shelter, a room, that they don't currently have, and that something immediately gets them out of the cold, off of the street, and into a better position than they are currently in. But you gotta suck my dick with no condom. Or you gotta take these gummies that'll have you sleeping for 3 days, and by the time you awaken, I may have fucked you without a condom. I know, but why would someone give someone else gummies that'll knock them out for 3 days if they weren't planning on taking? Or you can stay a few nights here in my condo. But you got to give up the That's the definition of manipulation, of exploitation. Who, with rational thinking, doesn't know that to be what it is? You were into manipulating, exploiting, and sometimes R-wording vulnerable homeless women, lying, projecting, gaslighting, violation of personal space, love bombing, coercive persuasion, like this, for example.
I'm telling you, Tori, you are missing out on a bag. These guys are lusting after you. Okay? And so, like, you know, I would consider.
You do know that was a pimp tactic, right? Of course he doesn't. His intelligence isn't on the level he wants you all to believe it's on. He's actually being recorded, entrapped, giving pimp tactic advice in his own fucking home. How stupidly unaware. Ugh. Look. The bottom line is, this guy is still a deviant. He's probably always going to be a deviant. And he's always going to have a following of deviant minions. So, if you see something, say something. Match his following with people who absolutely won't just stand by and let him take advantage of people without at least speaking out about it and sharing it. That is all. No. That is not all. Red flags to look for when encountering the predator of Atlanta Street interviews. Number 1. If he mentions your beauty multiple times, red flag. He's attracted to your look and he's plotting. Number 2. He invades personal space with picking lint from your sweater right above your breast area. Or he wipes a smudge from your face. Red flag. He's purposefully invading your space to see how you react. If there's not much pushback, he implements more tactics to test your boundaries. Number 3. If he asks you to give us a little spin for the viewers, red flag. He's actively exploiting you in a sexualized way. Not just for himself, but also for any of the deviants in his viewing audience. If he throws in, ooh-wee, he's planning on trying to fuck you. Expect an invitation for a date, or even an invite back to the condo for drugs, specifically gummies that'll have you sleeping for 3 days. Number 4. He knows your traumatic history because he's asked you all of these non-essential freaky questions, and instead of giving you info on how to get help for trauma/abuse/shelter, mental health, he instead offers to help you set up an OnlyFans account or a YouTube self-exploitation page. Red flag. This is a disassociation tactic that effectively separates him from actually providing you any real help for your issues, but does invite you into possibly entertaining activities that are even more debaucherous. You know, Ms. Sheena shared something in one of her lives recently. I caught it in the replay. Something that I completely concur with. She implied that maybe he pushes these women out into the public eye to make himself look like the guy, but that he doesn't even have the look of the guy. It was quite humorous, but holds very factual credibility. If he was indeed the guy that he thinks he is, why not showcase your expertise in getting women with women who don't live in tents, who don't sleep on park benches or under bridges? Show your expertise with corporate world women, or even women that simply aren't desperate and in need of immediate crises relief. He can't. He can't even be a trick for women who aren't in crises positions, because those type women don't choose him. Hell, even the women in the crises positions aren't really choosing him. They're choosing the lesser of two evils, the money and dick sucking over the cold ground. the gummies, and non-condom sex over the hassle of competing for underbridge sleeping space. He's the guy only in his narcissistic mind, and maybe the minds of a few mental weaklings. But he's not the guy. He's the predator guy, the street deviant guy, the homeless Fuk'r guy, who I've recently just heard has even allegedly graduated to fucking a homeless woman in her tent. The lows to which this guy is willing to stoop. There's no amount of good that can outshine the bad. Personally, I almost look forward to the day one of Atlanta's real ones actually puts a physical foot on that sleestack's neck. By the way, don't let any of this distract you from the fact that your country is actively gaslighting you all purposefully with distractions to pull everyone's attention away from the fact that no Epstein files have been released since the last batch of heavily redacted files released on December 19th, 2025, the actual deadline date for the release of all of the files. However, your Department of Justice reports that there are still 5.2 million files, and only 1% of that has actually been released. Let's see. 5.2 mil minus 1%, that's 52,000 files. That's 5,148 files that have been held up, breaking the law that ordered them to be released. Stay diligent, America. You have two clowns that most definitely need to be dealt with. I'm doing my best to do my part, but I honestly believe that YouTube is algorithming the fuck out of me to limit the views, especially with my commentary focusing on the orange idiot. Hey, would you mind doing me a favor?